All right, everybody. So I do want to let me just say this up front. Mongoose Man, yeah, that audio did sound off, didn't it? It sounded like it slowed me down. It sounded deeper than my voice is. It's kind of high up for various reasons. I'm not going to get into it, but I do want to make a note on this, and I'll try to remember the other points I was going to bring up. But I just want to start with this: is that identities today are useless. And they're vastly becoming more useless by the day. Perfect example is that old boomer that went to the Naval Academy. I don't know if it sounded like he was actually in the Navy. Oh, okay. Sorry. Just listen. But anyway, the guy who was wearing the Navy hat and the Navy sweatshirt. And he goes up to the feds there, these federal agents, the Gestapo, as a lot of people put it. And he just says, well, I just want to talk, thinking that his Navy hat and his sweatshirt are going to save him, or that gives him some sort of clout, that he can talk to them. And it didn't. They smacked him up and they sprayed in his face. And then he walked away, flipping off. And of course, idiotic lefties like, he's a hero. No, he isn't. He's an idiot. And if you are a real leftist, you would understand that these identities are ridiculous. They're fake. And it doesn't matter what you describe it as. This is the same type of thing, dare I say it, with the anti-Semitism in Germany. There's a lot of folks who were veterans of the First World War. And they would say, I fought for the Kaiser in the First World War, this and that. Why are you doing this to me? It didn't matter. They still put you in a concentration camp. It's the same thing here in the United States even. There are plenty of brothers, who are part of the Harlem Hellfighters or whichever group, and they came back and they got beat up and lynched. So it made no difference what they had done. How many medals they had. And you had to put that into perspective. It doesn't make a difference. It's a false identity. It's the same thing nowadays. You still have these old boomers, in the Soviet Union. They'll have all their medals and all that type of thing. But that time has passed, buddy. You can cope, you can be like one of these edgy lefty pole folks who can cope about the Soviet Union. That time is done. It's 2020 today, okay? Can you live in present day? And I just wanted to briefly put that out there. And just goes to show that these identities do not matter. It's the same thing where it's like, oh, well, I'm non-binary, this and that. No one gives a shit. No one cares. Nobody realistically cares, I also wanted to say, I was listening to, I think, the head publisher of Arctos. He was on No White Guilt. There we go. I'll just say it like that. And he did make some good points, I think, talking about China, where he says he's not going to be pro-Western, but I think that he is correct when he talks about how China is run by bloodthirsty people and people that don't have the best interests of the people at hand. And I think there is an aspect of that. I was going to say that. What else was I going to talk about? There's something else. I just got through watching the video by Southfront talking about the issues going on with Nord Stream and kind of talking about how the EU and indeed NATO is very false. It's a crumbling alliance. It's something that's only on paper that exists now. And I think that's very true. And it is, not to be too Wagnadish, but I would say it is very sad that, after, the fall of Nazi Germany, that suddenly we simply, dare I use some sort of Christian, or at least some, I guess I would say Christian ideas, is that we remade them, we made the, we recreated the image of the German army into us, basically. That's what happened in Germany and Austria. We remade them into us. So the first German army, in a lot of ways, they still had, the Kar 98Ks, this and that, but in a lot of ways they had, the standard American uniforms. And it wasn't until, by the time unification happened, did they kind of go back to some of the more German type of material. They still used, I don't know, people say the MG3 is different than the MG42. I know. But nonetheless, it looks enough like an MG42. They continue to use that. Now they're trying to phase out. They're going to get in a new machine gun. They have more of the, the oak leaf pattern Waffen SS uniform, that they had. And of course, one of the biggest differences, though, as a lot of European countries, they allow beards. You didn't see that, with the German Wehrmacht in general, Yeah, you did see that, like, with the U-boats and, maybe, like, goatees and whatnot for guys that had been in the field. But in general, anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm sorry. But, we see that these alliances are shifting. And I think that one of the important points to take away is not to just be a bootlicker for somebody to say, well, Russia's great, China's great. And ultimately, I hold a neutral view on that to say, well, they're a liberal and this and that. They're great based. They're getting rid of the liberal system. And I know I sound like a bit of a turncoat, but maybe not. I don't know. You can view me as you want to, but I feel like I've tried to be neutral on China. I have mentioned them. I've tried to be neutral on China and Russia because, in general, those aren't our cultures. They don't have anything to do with us. They're gonna, they can, if Dugin wants to talk about Eurasianism, and if that, as far as I know, Dugin isn't even taking that seriously in Russia. But of course, both left wingers and right wingers love to, just hold him up as a sign and say he's an evil guy. It's ridiculous. I haven't read the Fourth Political Theory, but I imagine it has some good stuff. But anyway, it's just a boogeyman. I just want to point that out. It's just such a canard, such a boogeyman to just throw, Dugin out like he's. But anyway, I just wanted to say is that it's ridiculous. Also another point too that that Arctos guy came up with. And I know his name's not Arctos, it's like John something or other. Very well-spoken man, obviously very intelligent, very much educated gentleman. And he said, basically is that, sometimes we don't have to react to everything on the news. Give it some time and then speak on it. And while I can value that, is that unfortunately in the modern news cycle, is that, if you don't talk about it right away, then it's going to be memory hold and it'll disappear. And that happens with a lot of stories, unless it's something that mainstream media wants to talk about, then it isn't going to be talked about, such as the whole thing with, the various cases, for Charlottesville. And of course, other than people who saw that and wanted to dab on people like Chris Cantwell, rightly so, it isn't talked about, So while I agree with his statements, like, yeah, maybe we need to, spend some time away and just, try to talk to people one-on-one, he did talk about it like that. But in general, I'd be like, you got to be careful how you talk to folks because they're still, they're still in the liberal, conservative, normie sort of mindset. They're still in the Democratic, Republican sort of mindset. And you kind of have to be aware of that. For me, I've been online, I think I started on YouTube, or at least I started watching YouTube since 2014. I didn't really want to make content. I just suddenly got a wild hair up my butt and decided to do it. What is it, last year sometime? So I decided, why not? I'm just going to turn on the the camera and I'm going to be like Styx Hexenhammer. I said, okay, everybody. And, used to show my face. Now, I'm not going to do that. Too many things have happened. And even though I say things that are relatively mild, at least in the whole spectrum of things. If you're really on the internet a long time and you have seen the various political stances that exist, whether that's on Twitter, YouTube, or wherever. For me, I think I'm fairly, mild and, unassuming, but I think some people would probably see that as, extremist or violent, it's the same type of thing, it's the same type of thing with these, these TikToks. Like I say, I know once again that's past and that's, a lot of that has subsided down, but, these kids that made TikToks, talking about, using the N-word and stuff like that, and these folks get busted. We've seen in, extremist political discourse, and there are, I'm just going to say political discourse. We've seen this sort of shift to let's just dox people. Let's just dox people so that they can lose their jobs. And that's kind of what has happened, So I don't really, so that's what Antifa has become. They have just become the folk, these guys who would rather investigate and find people on Discord and, expose these folks and just dump a whole lot of information out and, leave these folks to just, do the work of, the powers that be to get these folks fired. But there's still this narrative though, is that, well, fascism is really doing the work of capitalism. It's like, well, you guys are too, if you really think about it. Doxing people, this and that, and getting rid of those types of voices, you're working for them too. I'm not going to say, and once again, people like Richard Spencer definitely are part of the problem, because obviously he's a rich kid, this and that, Democrat, blah, blah, blah. But, once again, it's always easy to paint one side as the enemy, and you want to ignore the other side. For me, I try to look at both sides, and I try to look at it fairly objectively. Fairly. Believe me, I have my biases. I admit it. I do. I have my biases. I have my problems that come out. I do. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say, really. I think I've said my piece. Apparently, Anun Kazan has decided to do a response video, I think, to me. So I think I'll take a look at that. I know that he's put some comments on my video. I'm willing to hear any sort of criticism. And, while I'm stubborn in my ways, I think I'm willing to look at it. So I will probably check out that video. And I think that's about it, really. I think I've said my piece. Is there anything else anyone wants me to mention? The 3 people that are in, that are watching this right now. Is there anything y'all want me to talk about? Anything you want me to mention? Bring up? Anything? Like I say, I think once again, my mind is just kind of like, I think that unfortunately I have the internet brain where it's just like, if I don't talk about it right now, then I'll forget about it. That's the sort of mindset I have, unfortunately. I think, like I say, there's probably some stuff I did leave out, but we see the shifting loyalties, and I think everyone's just waiting to see what's going to happen. I think most people, I think on the left and the right, know that, you can get rid of Trump all day and go ahead and get rid of him. I don't care at this point. Yeah, he's not helping us. You can go ahead and say, oh, well, Biden's anti-white. No, he's not. Biden is just going to serve the same masters. And ultimately, apart from giving lip service to certain ideas, apart from giving lip service to ideas of, getting healthcare or trying to be more progressive, he's not going to change much. So it doesn't matter either way. But I think with that being said, I think I've said my piece. And I hope y'all have a good rest of the day. See you later. Bye-bye.